Okay, so our VFR cross-country flight today is going to take us from Brainerd, Minnesota, which is located right here, back up to Grand Forks, North Dakota, which we find right here. So Grand Forks is on the opposite side of the sectional chart as Brainerd, which will make our planning a little bit more complicated. There will be an extra step that we'll have to take to allow our course line to transfer to the other side of the sectional chart. But before we draw our course line, let's first make sure that the desired course line will work for us on this particular flight. So for a VFR cross-country flight, usually the preferred routing is direct between point A and point B. That's not always going to be possible, so if you have airspace or terrain or obstacles in the way, or perhaps even weather along that direct line, you may have to adjust your route to have a couple of legs in which the course changes throughout the route. So we'll always kind of start with the mindset that we'll attempt a direct route. So with that in mind, let's take a look at what that direct route would look like between Brainerd and Grand Forks. So even though Grand Forks is not on this side of the chart, we know that Grand Forks is off to the northwest of Brainerd, so you can get a pretty good idea of things that we may encounter along that direct route. So we've got Brainerd right here in Class Echo airspace at the surface, identified by the dashed magenta line around the airport. So if we depart out of Brainerd, head towards the northwest, it doesn't appear to be a whole lot in the way of obstacles and terrain out there in Lakes Country. So obviously a lot of bodies of water, but that's not going to be too much of a concern for us. So as we head out past Pine River, it doesn't look like there's anything too concerning that would be in the way there. Now if we flip to the other side of the chart, we can actually find Pine River on this side of the chart as well. So we just looked at Pine River on the other side, and it appears once again right here. So we can kind of figure out, determine our location in reference to the other side of the chart pretty easily. So we were coming kind of to the southwest of Pine River once we take off out of Brainerd. Along that route of flight towards Park Rapids, so it looks like we'll pretty much probably fly right over the top of Park Rapids, or at least pretty close to it. So there's not a whole lot in the way there. Park Rapids is Class Golf airspace at the surface up to 700 AGL, followed by Class Echo from 700 AGL up to 18,000 feet, and that's identified by the faded magenta circle around Park Rapids. So there's no airspace of real concern in Park Rapids. We don't have to talk to any ATC facility for VFR flight when crossing over Park Rapids, so that's not going to be a concern for us. Doesn't appear to be a whole lot in the way of obstacles along this route of flight here. Same thing with terrain. Not really any change in elevation for the most part. As we cross over Mahnomen, not a whole lot going on there either. Same airspace that you would find in Park Rapids, so not a huge concern for us. And then as we continue our route past Fertile, so now we're starting to enter the UND practice areas. Not a whole lot out there, as you probably already know. We cross to the south of Crookston, and then come into Grand Forks into the Class Delta airspace there. So in terms of airspace, there doesn't appear to be any controlled airspace or special use airspace, such as restricted areas or prohibited areas, or even military operations areas that we have to concern ourselves with. There's not really anything in terms of terrain along that direct route, and there doesn't really appear to be anything in terms of obstacles either. So a direct route between Brainerd and Grand Forks looks like it'll work for our particular flight. Obviously we'd have to take a look at the weather and make sure that there's nothing in the way of that route, in which case we may have to make a last minute adjustment to our planning, but we'll assume that that's all going to be okay today. So we'll go ahead and plan our direct route between Brainerd and Grand Forks.